Good day, podcast community, podcast Pete, and certified lifestyle coach. And we got a special show for you today. We've been talking, we were almost like got into a great tangent of things that you'll want to know more about. But I'm doing Xandra,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes, it's short for Alexandra.
Okay. Xandra, to introduce herself, who she is, what she does, and who she serves, and then we'll get into our podcast.
Great. Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Xandra Averbuck. I am the founder of Soft Trail Elite, and we are a brand new fitness equipment company, but we like to say that we produce fitness furniture, or as I like to call, active aesthetics. And so our furniture, or our equipment, as you say, our active aesthetics works seamlessly into discerning environments. So boutique hotels, wellness studios, even homes. A lot of equipment out there is very cold, it's very industrial, and in a home, it can be an eyesore. And so we've got the solution. We have beautiful wood trimmed fitness equipment. And what's great is it requires zero electricity, so you can put it anywhere. And it's sustainable. And for every unit that is purchased, we plant a tree. And the consumer actually gets a thank you card mailed to them. And then they can get once a year when we do our annual tree planting. We work with a wonderful organization called Trees for a Change. They actually get GPS coordinates, and they can go visit the grove where their tree is planted. How cool is that?
Like planting that seed that will just grow. And do you feel like coming up with an idea like that is very different, very, I would say, out of the box? So what came upon you to start this journey? Like, how did you come about starting Soft Trail Elite?
Yes. So actually, I am new to the fitness world. I was in the hospitality industry for 15 years. So I started out as a front desk agent and worked my entire career through hotels, technology, corporate, and live events, including stadiums and destination festivals. So I had a really colorful, vibrant, versatile career in hospitality. But it was killing me physically and mentally. It was taking a huge toll on me. I was away from my family a lot. I'm a mother of two beautiful young girls, 6 and 1 years old. And also, something that we talked about, I have ADHD, proud of it. And throughout my entire career, I just didn't fit in. I was not, whether it was a cultural fit or job fit or whatever it was, I was not fitting in every job that I landed. And as I said to you earlier, and so I'll say to the audience, the way I like to explain it is I feel like I'm this very uniquely shaped puzzle piece. And most people have a traditional puzzle piece that can fit seamlessly into most puzzles. I couldn't find any puzzle that I fit in. And it wasn't like kind of fit in. It was like I stood out like a sore thumb. It was not going to fit. And eventually I got fed up, and I had to come through a journey of healing and self-acceptance and love and say, girl, you are never going to fit in someone else's puzzle. It's time you build your own damn puzzle. And so I took the risk, and I left after 15 years, everything I know. And I was looking for a business, and I actually acquired Soft Trail Elite. Used to be known as Lift Daddy, which is a very interesting brand name, but it was just the treadmill. So I looked at that treadmill and I saw the soul of that product. And I said, this is so much more. And I've spent the last couple years really building the catalog and rebranding. And so now we are Soft Trail Elite. We have our signature treadmill that I am live in San Diego. Today is the first day of the Health and Fitness Association conference. And
Mhm.
so tomorrow will be the launch. So I'm very excited. This is all.
Ooh, we feel so special to be at the beginning.
Yes.
Tell me, like, we talked about being dyslexic too.
Yes.
I think it's just that creative brain that's always solving
Mhm.
problems. You look at something and you
Yeah.
see solutions. So you looked at that treadmill, and what did you, when you were going through that process of figuring out a better solution, what were you thinking about that needed to happen? And when you share that, like, risk taking is so powerful. We grow through our trauma, we grow through our journey. So tell us, give us a little framing of when you saw that treadmill and then bring us to today.
Yeah. So when I saw that treadmill, it's gorgeous. And I was like, that's something I would put in my home. And we talked about my neurodiversity, but I also have just over the course of working hard in the hospitality industry had a lot of health issues. So I also have Hashimoto's, and I also have recovering from spinal surgery. Over 10 years ago, I had a ruptured spinal disc and had to go into immediate surgery.
Mhm.
So, my body's not what it used to be, basically. So walking has always been the consistent exercise that I've been able to keep up with. And so it was looking at that and going, okay, that's something that I would put in my home and be proud of sitting there instead of being this eyesore. I think
Mhm.
other people would love this in their home too. And then, it starts. So it's like with ADHD or dyslexia and the neurodiversity, like once you get a spark, then all of a sudden the gears start turning and then they just don't stop. And so then it was like, okay, well, this isn't just homes. What about beautiful retreats? What about wellness centers, spas?
Mhm.
Even you can fit it in an office. I mean, even, walk and take a meeting or get up from your desk and take a little break. If you can't go outside, you can do it in your not in your cubicle, but in your corner office. So it was just like all the gears started turning of this really could be a solution for so many people.
Mhm.
And then I was like, okay, well, now I have to have it and I have to start this. And so um yeah, that's kind of been the journey of.
What do you think that, because we have that neurodiverse active brain, it's always kind of thinking of solutions, always creative ideas. How do you slow it down to sleep? What do you do that gets
What you doing, Pete? You're slipping in, you're looking for some hot You're like, "Yeah, I need to take
Yeah,
a."
because it does all the time, but we have to recharge ourselves. So get how have you had to handle that?
You know, um, that's a hard one. I'm gonna be because you know what my thing is
Mhm.
and sometimes I just have to go through it and then be exhausted and then catch up on sleep. For me, my creativity likes to spark at like 2 in the morning.
Really?
So, yes. So what'll happen is, let's say I always have to tell people it has to marinate, like, I have to marinate for ideas. Sometimes it comes right away, but a lot of times it'll marinate and then it'll be in the middle of the night and I'll wake up and it'll almost be like, the bright-eyed, like, I
Yeah.
got it, eureka. And then I'm just up and I'm trying to go to sleep, but sometimes I just don't fight it. And I say,
Yeah.
you know what? Let it out. Let it out. You might have one rough night, but then, you'll be too tired the next day and you just catch up on sleep the next day.
Mhm.
I've learned to embrace it. My husband, on the other hand, though, he has to struggle with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Get off the phone. I'm like, I can't help it.
And you know what? That is true because there are days I get up real early, but I'll get up at 2 o'clock and then I just pull out my journal and I'll just start writing, getting the thoughts out. Do you have a habit like journaling, or or meditation, or how do you kind of lean into that creativity, to that neurodiverse uh, body, brain that you have?
Well, sometimes I'll journal, but to be honest, I won't look back at it. You know what also helps me sometimes? It's creating Pinterest boards.
Oh.
Because it's picture, it's visual driven. And so that I can go haywire. And then I also see like what other people have done similar, and that
Hmm.
even sparks more ideas. So that's kind of something that I'll start pinning, or even, pinning websites. You can also, it doesn't have to be a picture. It can be a website and it'll just show like the title of the website,
Hmm.
or title of what the page is, the blog post or whatever. So sometimes I'll do that. Um, let's see. I think I do try to meditate. It's hard for me to calm the brain. I'm active. What actually works for me, and it's not something I can do all the time, but when I really need, like you said, calm the brain, what really works for me is sound baths. And I know that's an interesting thing, but with a sound bath, the noise interrupts like my internal thinking, and
Hmm.
it's the only time I've successfully been able to completely turn off. I don't fall asleep, but I've been able to complete because I'm focusing on the noises.
Hmm.
And it's very relaxing, and that's like one way that I've been able to zen the brain.
Wow. It is kind of really cool because I will ask people similar to what we just talked about. And everybody, it seems like, that's in that area of neurodiverse has their own system
Mhm.
that they use and lean into, that sparks that creativity, gets that those thoughts out, and continues to develop those um, creative solutions. I want to change just for a second. I had a gentleman, and he was on my podcast. This was probably about a year ago, and we talked about PTSD. And he took the D and put G by it. So post traumatic stress growth.
I
Did you?
love that.
I was like,
I love that.
I always grew through all my trauma. Like, I've been suicidal, depressed. I mean, you could name it all. Do you have a time in your life that you were in a bad place, like you weren't where you wanted to be, but you grew as a result of that, that you could share with us?
Yeah. I won't I can't give details on who, what,
Yeah,
when, where.
generally,
Um,
like,
yeah. But, one of my former employment experiences, I was relentlessly bullied, and, it was a mean girl group, and they really mobbed me, and, I wasn't a cultural fit by any means.
mhm,
Um, I was very out with my ADHD, and they found it, I believe, annoying and frustrating with my I was a passionate employee. I was driven, and, I was great with my staff, but, being ADHD, sometimes I didn't cross the T or dot the I, and this
mhm,
was a place that was very, prestigious and particular, and so, it just became clear that I wasn't a fit, but it was so hard for me to let go and just move on because it was what I thought was my dream job,
mhm,
and so was so I wasn't willing to let go because I was like, "Why do I have to go when they're doing what's wrong?" Like, they're treating me horribly. Unfortunately, bullying is not illegal. So, unless someone goes, "Ha ha, you're disabled," or "Ha ha, you're a protected class," they can get away with it, and that's basically what happened. They
mhm,
even made, I would say, the ringleader my boss. Like, it got horrible, and, I went on medical leave twice during that time.
mhm,
Um, the depression was so bad, my youngest wasn't around, but my oldest daughter was only about 2 or 3, and she said, "Mama's sad." Like, she didn't, she didn't understand depression, but she was grasping it as a toddler. And that's when I realized, okay, I gotta get out. Like, I don't wanna be a depressed mother for my baby.
Mhm.
Um, and that was such a traumatic experience. I was not able to really heal, like, do the deep therapy work and everything until after, I left, and it took I wanna say it probably took almost 2 years to fully heal from that.
Mhm.
Um, there was even a point where I was visiting another place that was adjacent to that place, and looking at it, I started crying uncontrollably. Like, it was like a literal PTSD
Yeah.
reaction, and a lot of people don't I don't wanna say they don't, what's the better word? They minimize workplace trauma, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, "Oh, you just had a but workplace trauma is a real thing,
I agree.
and as traumatic, and, the truth is, we spend more time at work a lot of times in our own homes,
Yes.
like, we're dealing with those people more than we get to see our families, and so those environments matter. Um, but if I didn't go through all of that, I would have never left.
Mhm.
I would have never started this company. I would have never had to be forced to be able to look in the mirror and go, "Girl, you have had trouble in every single job that you've been through," whether it's I mean, nothing is bad. This was the worst one, but, um
Mhm.
you gotta look in the mirror and be like, "Okay, what's the one variable in every single one of these situations? It's you, girl." But be able to look at that and be like, "Okay, what do we need to fix? We're not fixing you. There's nothing to fix about you. We need to
Yes.
fix the environment." And so, if I did not have that horrible, horrible experience,
Mhm.
um, I wouldn't be here today. I mean, that's the truth, and that is the growth, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to accept and love myself, um
Yes.
and embrace myself, really, like, celebrate myself as much as I am now,
Mhm.
if I hadn't gone through that, because I still would have been relying on the societal expectation and then the shame that comes with it when I don't meet those expectations.
Yes.
And I'm happy you asked this, because I do think it's important to share this kind of story, because, in the corporate marketing, like in the employer brand marketing strategy, they're always talking about women supporting women. But in reality, I know I'm not the only one that has this type of story. It's
Mhm.
vicious.
Yes.
A lot of time the women are not supporting each other. They're seeing each other as competition or whatever it is,
Yes.
and, they're taking each other out, and it's awful. It's sometimes even worse than the guys. It's like
Yeah. In a lot of ways, because I have 2 sisters, 2 daughters, 6 granddaughters, so I'm around girls more than most, and I do think that in my looking back on my daughters, that girls tend to be definitely meaner when it comes to personalities and things like that, and they're more emotional, and they react a little bit more than maybe the guys. So I think it can be, I guess, tougher in that journey for
Yeah.
girls. What would you like when you I always say, like, and I now embrace it that I've got that neurodiverse, active brain and always looking at things to solve. How do you lean into your curiosity, and what do you do to grow and kind of feed who you are?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Um, well, I will lean into the hyperfixation when it comes up. So, as far as curiosity goes, I will happily go down that rabbit hole for hours and, do the research, or um, watch all the videos, or, I
Mhm.
think kind of just we have to embrace those quirks, So if, I've got a fixation, I'm not stop fighting it, like, just lean into it for a bit. It'll probably pass, but till the next one. But, just lean into it, and go down the rabbit hole and see what you learn. And I do enjoy listening to podcasts. Stuff like Masterclass is great too. Coming to conferences such as the Health and Fitness Association conference, and networking, even on LinkedIn, reaching out to people and trying to grow my network.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will reach out and, ask coaches or athletes of, kind of how they view the industry or equipment or all that kind of stuff too. So, just getting actual real feedback as well.
I love that. I kind of look at trends and strategies a little bit differently, and I see like AI coming and the creativity of entrepreneurships. There's more people are realizing that. I have a guy in my Rotary Club, and we were talking. We always talk, and he's like a supply side uh, for a big corporation, and but he's very creative. He's very kind of different than most. And we talk about how he's really in a box working. And it's just, he had a day off the other day and he was telling me he just kind of leaned into just having a creative day to read, think. And we're moving more into that entrepreneurship. How are you using something like AI to help you with your creativity? Because it's not going to ever replace us. We always have HI, human intelligence, but are you using it in a way that has helped you to stay in your superpower?
Absolutely. AI is definitely like, it's almost like a buddy that you can bounce ideas off and be like, okay, no, I didn't like that. Let's tweak that. Ooh, I really like this. And sometimes it's like one thing it suggests and it just ignites a spark and all of a sudden, and it goes down. Um, or I bounce off the idea. Like, what do you think of active aesthetics? Oh, that would be great. Here's some other suggestions. What's really helped me is, I'll have all these ideas, but
Mhm.
sometimes it can come out like word vomit, and I get, especially when you're all excited and
Mhm.
can't really express it clearly and
Yes.
concisely. So AI has really helped me do that, especially with like copy and stuff like that, so that it makes sense. It's getting the message across. It's not overly colorful and artistic, and it communicates the brand effectively. So that's usually where I harness an AI. Also helps with like my emails, making sure my grammar and
Mm.
my spelling with my dyslexia
Yeah.
is good too. Big fan of Grammarly.
Oh, yeah. I can, in a given sentence, because I didn't journal before my stroke because I misspell about every other word. So I couldn't get in a flow. Now I use, Alexa, Siri, all of it to help me get in that flow to spell and just create. What would you say when I think, and I haven't discovered or I haven't felt that this is consistent, but because academics was so hard for me, uh,
Mhm.
I leaned into people and I love to be around people.
Yeah.
So being in the hospitality industry, I would think that would be something you're around people. So what is a good relationship tip that you could share with us that you think has really helped the relationship building part of your journey?
Yes. That's so funny that you say that. I'm like, wow, we are a type, aren't we? 'Cause like, so many other ADHD people I know are just like that too. I'm like, we really are. Um, so what's interesting with struggling, I just kind of want to talk, you mentioned struggling in school.
Yeah.
Um, what was interesting was my mom was a school psychologist,
Hmm.
but because of like the stigma with ADHD, especially back then, and she didn't want me labeled, she didn't put me in an IEP. And so I wasn't supported. And I think, you know, we were talking about struggling in school, but I'm just going to slip in there for anyone listening or has a kid that's getting diagnosed. please put them in an IEP. It's a wonderful supportive thing. I wish I had it, and I think I would have wanted to finish college if I had that kind of support, because I'm
Mhm.
sure you experienced the same thing, but in school, when you're constantly not doing well and you're a nuisance or whatever, it just becomes this narrative of you're not enough,
Yes.
and this isn't your place. And so, for me, when I got to college, I still felt that same way. And then I was like, and I'm paying for this. Like, that's when I walked out and said,
Mhm.
so um I just wanted to throw that in there. I'm sorry, where were we? What did
No,
you
that's really good, 'cause it's funny that you say that, because when my daughter, she was diagnosed, and so we provided more guidance and structure so she could have somebody take notes. She could have more time to take the test, and she successfully got through college.
for
And
you?
you
Yay, be
know,
proud.
but you're right. Back when because I'm quite a bit older, but there wasn't even hardly any tape recorders back then. So my
There's no
notes looked
support.
like shorthand, because
Yeah,
it was just a scribble scrabble of stuff, because processing was not something I was able to process at the speed that people were sharing. So, I was like, I just felt so frustrated with being a second behind
yeah.
processing of things. And now, I mean, I do audio to text. I don't
Now
hard,
there's so many tools.
yeah,
It's so much
there's
more.
so
Yeah.
many. And
I
I
mean, you
went
don't even need to record in a meeting notes, like now even Zoom does gives you the
Yes.
whole transcript and everything. So
Yeah, I went to, like, in Atlanta, there's a thing called the Shank School. It's just for dyslexic, and this was adults that have dyslexic. So anyway, I applied for it and got it, and the lady said, "We'll test you just to make sure." And so she tested, and she said, "Yep, you do have it, but I'll give you some good news and bad news. The good news is you're going to see some things that are going to absolutely bring you to tears, with people that are trying to operate. They can't read, they can't process, and they're in jobs where they'll say, well, just read the notes, just read the instructions, all that." And she was right, but she shared, this was back 10 years ago. She said, "Hey, do you know about Google's voice to text?" And I never heard about it. But that was the first time I could speak and have it, come out in kind of an organized fashion. So it's like little hacks that you can do to really start accelerating your progress, your learning, your superpower, whatever you want to say. So what would you say if I said, "Okay, Alexander, tell me, what do you think your superpowers are? What are your top 3 superpowers that you now have recognized that you try to embrace as much as possible?"
So, I'm really good at conceptual design.
Hmm.
So, of course, this all falls under creativity. Like, if you want the point, the simple answer, it's creativity. But
Mhm.
specifically in creativity is concept. So as my husband likes to say, I can take a thing and I can make a whole brand out of it and a whole message and voice and like a whole concept. I'm really good at a conceptual design.
Mhm.
Um, and uh, I would also say just really good with people and to bring back, understand like emotional intelligence, to bring back what you did ask early. Now I remember what you asked. You said, do I have any advice for relationships, especially, in business and learning from hospitality? Um, the biggest things, actively listen, you know, um,
Mhm.
don't, don't listen to respond already. Really listen to what the other person has to say. A lot of times people just want to be heard, not taking things personally. And
Mhm.
that's hard. That can be really hard, especially with us ADHD people that have rejection sensitivity disorder. That can be hard. And that was a learned skill, but not taking things personally, especially in business. Um, and you can only control what you can do. And so remember that you yourself are part of the brand, whether that's you're working for someone or you're starting your own business and you have your own personal brand, you know what I mean? And that's part of that. And so, always thinking about how you want to leave off, and how that, represents yourself.
That's so good. So, if you had to advise a 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, knowing what you've been through, your journey, what would you tell her?
Oh, wow. Well, my 15-year-old self thought that she was going to go to Broadway. So,
Mhm.
so I'd say buckle up, babe. um, there's that saying that goes, the universe has like three answers. It's either, or I don't know if it's three answers, but it's either not now. It's either, oh no, it's three answers. It's either yes, not now, or I have something better.
Mhm.
And that's always something to remember. And so I would tell my 15-year-old self, because I don't think you're supposed to tell them everything, but I would say buckle up and just know and trust that the universe has something better. Every fall, every
That
trip you're going to make, just know that there is light and there's
is
something better waiting for you.
wow, that is so good.
And also, dreams change.
Yeah.
I think that's also something that's really important. And it's okay for whenever those dreams change. Even now, later in life, it's totally okay. I think there's this old, outdated concept that we have to know what we want to be, or, we made our choice in our 20s and that's it. And now we can't change. And that's totally not true. You can always have different dreams. Your values change and
Mhm.
that can change your dream. And it's okay. It's okay to have multiple dreams. And so, yeah, that's just part of the journey of life.
Yeah, that the dreaming part is so beautiful. It's just like I don't know what the exact numbers, but when we're real young, we have all these dreams, and society kind of narrows down that to
Mhm.
where it limits us. Like we have put those self-imposed limitations, and adults don't dream like kids. I mean, kids just they have wild dreams, and it's like we want to continue that. What I don't know if you remember this TV show, but it was Bewitched, and she would wiggle
Yes.
her nose. Yeah, okay. So let's pretend you have that superpower, and you could wiggle your nose, and you could have one thing, one dream come true with just the wiggle of the nose. What would it be?
Mm. Oh, that's so hard because there's so many cool superpowers you could have. But I think right now what comes to mind, which I'll probably after this, I'll be like, girl, you could have said like flying or something cool. But I would like to be able to speak all languages
Ooh,
because I love traveling. And when I travel, I'm not big on the big like resorts and all that. I like adventure travel and I love learning culture. And so I would want to connect with people. Like Anthony Bourdain, I thought he was living the dream. I thought that was a dream, traveling
yeah.
the world, meeting people, trying amazing food. Like that sounds the life. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go with.
Dang, I had a gentleman, and we've known each other for about 5 years, and he left Ireland and he moved to Greece, and he's living like an incredible life. He'll do some pictures on LinkedIn, and it's like, wow, I love it. But you know what he said? He purposely leaned into speaking the language. Like has a little bit of British in him too,
Mhm.
but he found that when he started, he's really into to learning Greek, and he found that what he discovered was a deeper connection with the
Yeah.
culture, a deeper connection, because he has some friends that go, I don't want to learn a new language, and they miss out so much on that deep meaningful conversations you can have.
Yes.
Plus, as he said, it's like respect. You respecting their culture enough to learn the language. And he's gotten such incredible kind of parts of he didn't even discover because he moved from a place that he didn't have to learn a language. Now to get around, he's just loving that whole connection to the culture. So I'm glad you said that because that just is so cool. Because
something I try to do is I try to, at least when I go to another country, I want to learn at least how to say hi, please, and thank you. Because that goes, even if you're like you're a total obvious American that doesn't speak the language. If you say like those 3 things, they're usually so impressed and they're just so honored that you even like gave a damn to learn that. And that you're trying to be respectful. It goes a real long way. And then, you know, a lot of times you'll make a friend, like a local friend, and they'll show you the real stuff, you know? So that's always what I try to do, is I try to at least learn those 3 words.
Yeah, those are magical ones. You know, yeah, that's so true. Basic ones to make that connection and to really get to the point where you can have, like you said, respect, or just, it's just so powerful to be respectful enough to learn, you know, what,
like even those 3 words, you know, like you don't have to overwhelm and be like, learn the language, but if you just learn those 3 words, it goes a long way.
I want to be respectful of your time because you got to get to a fitness convention. So tell our viewers, I have one more question after this. How can they get a hold of you?
Yes. Well, you can add me on LinkedIn. You can also check out the website, softtrailelite.com. Okay. If you are in San Diego, come by booth 1660 this week. I will be there showcasing our signature treadmill. And also you're welcome to email softtrailelite@gmail.com.
Awesome. That is so special. Thank you so much for that. So final question.
Yes.
What would be the one thing that you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
Aside from check out Soft Trail Elite? No.
Yeah, that's a great one. Absolutely. Hey, I'm a firm believer, Daniel appreciated this, that entrepreneurship is the journey of 1,000 pitches. If you don't learn how to pitch, you ain't going to be an entrepreneur because you got to constantly be out there. You're the vision, you're the voice, you're the person.
Right. You have to believe in it. You really have to believe in it. Otherwise, no one else will.
Yes.
No, I think the important thing to take away here, just based on everything that we talked about, is always choose yourself when it comes to your work journey. And it's never too late to start over. And it's never too late to build your own puzzle. If you're in a similar situation and you feel like myself, you're a really unique piece that just you're not finding where you fit in. Take the leap. You know, it's not the easiest journey. You definitely have to work at it, but it can be incredibly rewarding. So that's what I would say. No job. I mean, this is so cliche, but we'll always keep preaching it. No job is worth your peace or your health. And so always choose yourself and build your own puzzle.
I love it. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much.
I had so much fun.
Yes, I'm going to have you back after the convention, what you learned, and just, you know, because I know when people connect with you, they're gonna see that vision, that idea, that the journey that you're on, because you do have that special connection when I feel like I know you, and I just, you know,
I told you we're 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for spending time, especially before you're most, as my friends from Chick-fil-A say, my pleasure. So, it's all my pleasure. But thank you so much.
Thank you.